This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Robert Fekkes at Nerdster330 on Instagram. That's exciting.
It is. And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show each episode, usually just movie. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. I'm your host, the aforementioned Matt Hurt, and with me today is recurring co-host, the aforementioned also, Robert Fekkes.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Going well.
Good. We haven't been talking for the last 30 minutes. Yeah. We did just record a special bonus segment for Patreon, which if you like what you hear and you want to support us on Patreon, go to patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Every time we release an episode on the main feed, we release a separate bonus, discussion thing, kind of a loose kind of thing. So if you want more of this type of rambling, pay us money.
To be fair, I felt like we had a very good conversation.
We did. There was a lot of good stuff in there. Like
we weren't very focused, but then again, when is the podcast ever really focused?
Exactly. Very true. And halfway through, I was like, this is kind of an episode.
Yeah.
like we could just do this.
The last time I was here, I believe it was supposed to be a bonus episode. Probably recorded 2 hours.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited for you to listen to the year in review episode because I have so many stats and everything. So I'm excited.
You're a man that loves his stats.
I do. And speaking of stats, Fekkes, Letterboxd is a thing.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, well, Letterboxd is a social media or social networking site for film lovers where you can log the movies you watch and write reviews and interact with other members of the site. It is freaking amazing. We are in a position to give away free pro memberships to people, so we're going to do that again. Our next giveaway is going to be next month. But it's great. And I didn't mention this in the last episode, but me, Tiny, and Mike are all pro members on the site, which gives us access to stats and everything. So if you listen to our year in review episode, we basically go through the stats and everything, like most watched actor, director, and genre, a bunch of stuff that's really fun.
It's kind of interesting.
I'll
give you that.
Yeah.
Not interesting enough for me to shell out money for, but...
Well, it's only $19 for the full year.
For the full year?
Yeah, and it's supporting the website.
It's a bottle of bourbon.
To wit, I just upgraded to patron level. So, my dues were due. So instead of the $19, I was like, you know what? I'm going to pay them $49. And that gives me the same stuff, except I get some nice backdrops on my profile.
That's like somebody buying Fortnite skins.
Well, okay, sort of, but look, I get a little backdrop.
I said, Fortnite skins.
Yeah, well, also it goes to help the website because they're
Fortnite skins goes to help Fortnite.
Yeah, but Fortnite's massive. $2
billion in 2018.
Yeah, and Letterboxd is they've been growing, but they're this little New Zealand company that
from New Zealand.
Yep,
that's neat.
Yep, yeah. I had emailed them because I was like, hey, because it was around Thanksgiving. I was like, Happy Thanksgiving. If you guys are based in the U.S., I actually have no idea. And they're like, oh yeah, we're from New Zealand. Thank you. Though.
Goddamn Americans just thinking everything revolves around them.
Exactly.
We're on the other side of the world, but we celebrate your holiday of murdering Indians.
Exactly. Oh, it was not off to a great foot with them. But, oh, God. Anyway.
You could have made it worse by calling them Australians.
Jeez. Is there a difference?
Oh, I really hope you don't have any New Zealand listeners.
I'm just kidding.
Have you ever met a New Zealander and had them tell you how murderous they get when someone mistakes?
No.
It is.
I may actually have to cut that out.
Yeah, it's bad.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I've met a couple of people from New Zealand, and it's like you have to keep them from stabbing you.
Wow. That's very interesting.
It is.
Huh. Well, yeah.
So if you're ever in New Zealand, want to pick a fight,
you can find Robert Fekkes on Nurse2330 on Instagram. But yeah, so today on the podcast, we are talking about, by the way, you can follow me on Letterboxd at, letterboxd.com/obsessiveviewer. Also it's fun because like I mentioned, you've been backed up on it. I haven't posted it like publicly or anything, but last episode I mentioned that I was accepted into the Indiana Film Journalists Association.
No kidding! Congratulations,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah, super excited about it, and like it's already kind of reaping like I'm reaping the benefits from it because I've got invited to press screen. Like I got invited to a press screening for Glass, which is the movie that we're about to review. But like me and Tanya were recording that night, and it was like a very last minute thing. Like I got accepted into it like Monday, and then they're like, "Oh, hey, this press screening is on Tuesday." And
that's still pretty awesome, though.
Oh, totally. Like I'm super excited about going forward. Like I've already got a couple of screeners and everything for movies that, I have one for Stan and Ollie, which I haven't watched yet. With John C. Reilly and Steve Coogan. They play Laurel and Hardy.
I know of it, have not seen anything about it.
Nice. And, I'm excited to watch that, especially because one of my Letterboxd lists, like challenges that I'm doing for 2019 is the weekly comedy challenge, which basically it's 52 movies. Each one has a specific theme, like a Charlie Chaplin silent film, or a film, a comedy featuring a male comedy duo. And like I just watched a Laurel and Hardy movie last night.
Or you could have watched Holmes and Watson.
Oh Jesus, I already watched that.
I can't believe you went to go see it.
A-list.
Yeah, A-list. I get it, but
yeah. But yeah, so anyway, so I'm excited. That's why I've been posting more written reviews on the website. Because
speaking of A-list,
yes.
So you go see a lot of mediocre to awful movies because you are on A-list.
Sure.
So I'm sure, because you go to the movies even more than I do, you have seen the trailer for the new dog movie coming up. Which show? Well, the one that shows you the entire goddamn movie. Are you going to go see it?
No, fuck no.
Okay, I was gonna
it's A Dog's Way Home.
Okay, yeah. Like the first time I watched it, I was like, I just saw this entire movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like the whole trailer. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, I wonder if this is gonna be like the type of movie that's like gonna would make me cry because I love animals. Like, and then they showed presumably the last freaking scene of the movie.
The only thing I will say to defend the marketing behind that is maybe it's the marketer's way of saying, hey, look, this is for kids, and I promise you, we're not going to murder the dog at the end.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing.
I think so too. And also, it's not for like us.
You're right. It's not.
It's like that type of movie is kind of geared toward like people who maybe only see one or two movies in the theater a year.
Sure. Very extremely casual viewers and families that are like, hey, I want to take my kid to see a nice, wholesome movie.
Right.
So I don't want to bash the movie too bad because there is a place for that sort of movie, and it's not, like you said, it's not geared towards us. But I'm still like, I saw I was like, well, I guess I don't have to see that movie. Well, good job, Bella.
It was
you
ridiculous.
Made it home.
Oh yeah, and it's like it's in the same vein. Maybe based on a book by the same author, but of a Dog's Purpose.
I think it's the same writer.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. I didn't research it, so.
And when I saw On the Basis of Sex tonight, I saw another trailer for not A Dog's Purpose, not A Dog's Way Home, but A Dog's Journey.
Oh,
which is the sequel to A Dog's Purpose with oh man, what is his name?
Dennis Quaid's in that.
Dennis Quaid. Yep. It is a sequel to that movie.
Is it?
Yeah, which
I didn't see A Dog's Purpose. So.
Me neither. But again, the trailer gave away a lot of stuff in it. It's like this dog that keeps getting reincarnated, or like whenever the dog dies, he is reborn as
retains the memories, And so the whole movie is like him trying to find his owner, played by Dennis Quaid. Again?
Well, no, that's A Dog's Purpose, which also, like, that movie caught a lot of flack because the production, like, endangered.
Was that movie?
Animal.
Yeah, I was not pleased to see that either.
Same here.
Like, I saw the video, and it's just, it's horrifying.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
and the fact that they got funding and they were able to make a sequel to it is just
it made
perplexing.
Money. It's, again, it's one of those movies where, you know, the casual viewer is not going to know about this viral thing.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's going to print money. Maybe not print a ton of money, but it's going to profit. So,
but that and like I've also on Letterboxd, I've this year kind of one of my low key kind of goals for the year is to keep a running list of the movies that I see trailers for in the theater. Just because there's a lot of like trailers like I'll see once and then think like, oh, that could be okay, and then completely forget about it. So I have a running list. I've seen like 5 or 6 movies in the theater at this point.
God, you know, I'm
22 days into the new year.
I've seen 2, and one of them was a 2018 movie. It's just nothing has been out that I thought. I was kind of intrigued by the one about the escape room one, which I think is called Escape Room.
Escape Room.
And I might go see it tomorrow. I don't know. Just for something to see.
But you should watch it because me and Mike reviewed it on the podcast.
Oh,
yeah,
a Mike review.
Yeah,
I will have to watch it then.
Nice. Yeah. Also, it has Deborah Ann Wool, who I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah, she was. I'll get to talk to her.
Yeah.
Not talk about her when I bring up my potpourri. But I never knew much of her. I never saw anything of her until Daredevil. So
interesting.
But
see, me too, kind of.
Well, she was in True Blood.
She was.
I never watched it.
The only thing that I saw her in, which True Blood is True Blood.
Never saw it.
But I will say, in Escape Room, like I was watching it, and I was like, give her like an action movie. Like she's pretty badass in this movie.
Is she?
Yeah, it's
good for her.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so there was that. Oh, the trailers. I thought there was a thing that I was going to go with that. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, trailers. There was a trailer for, it's interesting because this year, 2019, has 2 movies coming out that are interesting.
Only 2 interesting movies this year, people. Only 2
movies.
of them. And one of them is A Dog's Purpose, too.
Oh God! But one of them is what men want. Have you seen the trailers for that?
Is that the sequel to the Mel Gibson What Women Want?
I don't know. It's like
it's the exact same premise.
It is. It's like a spiritual. I don't think that it's actually like a sequel. It's just basically like, oh hey.
I will say that I have about as much interest in seeing that as I did What Women Want. So, in other words, I'm not going to see it.
Yeah. And I said in the year in review episode that I'm going to have to pace myself because, like, if I see all these movies in theaters, it's going to kind of take the magic away from, like, sitting in a theater and watching a movie.
Sure.
But, yeah, I don't know. That trailer it's annoying because it's like, I tweeted this, but, like, the premise of the movie, like, there's voiceover of the men's thoughts, obviously.
Right.
And, like, that is categorically, that is the easiest thing, the easiest part of the movie to polish and get, like, drafts of and like really hone the comedy of it because it's just
because you're just filming voiceover, not to take anything away from voice acting, you know,
right? But it's like in the grand scheme of things, it's like you get a couple takes of an actor like in a scene, and like you have that to pull from for marketing, but like you can spend like 10 times as much time getting, you know, like B-roll audio for the voiceover. Sure. Having said that, every single men thought in the trailer for What Men Want is like comedy, like graveyard.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
It's just really stereotypical. It's like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
You just walked through my fart. It's like,
every time I see that, I cringe so bad.
Hey, look, I like toilet humor as much as the next guy, but never have I ever farted and thought to myself, you just walked through my fart. Like when I fart, like Get it out there. I fart at the gym. Everyone does because it's strenuous activity and you're going to fart. And whenever I'm like on the treadmill and I fart, or if I'm doing a heavy lift and I fart, I'm like, oh, God damn it. Please nobody walk through. I'm like, you just walked through my fart. It's like, no guy. There might be some guys that think like that and are that just ridiculously immature, but not every guy.
Have certain hats, but but no, funny gym fart story real quick. I was at the gym once and this was like I had like free sessions with a trainer or whatever, and I was like, why not? So like we're doing like I'm doing like crunches or something on a mat, and like maybe 6 feet
Matception. Mat on a mat,
right? 6 feet away from me is this woman doing an exercise on the mat. She has headphones in. If I remember correctly, I could hear the music coming out of the headphones. So just to paint a picture of how
loudly
and how noise cancelly she could have been. The whole time I'm doing my crunches, I'm like, I have to fart so bad, and like it reached a point where it was like, it just went. Like I had no.
It happens.
It does.
It happens at the gym. You can't help it.
And she looked over in horror. So to paint a picture of
to hell with her. Everyone farts at the gym.
Well, that's the thing. I think that like the surprise of it, because she was she clearly couldn't necessarily hear it, but I feel like she could probably feel it on the mat.
Yeah, well,
So yeah. Anyway, this is the obsessive fart something.
But you were correct. Like there's not been one like male thought that was like, oh, that's kind of funny or clever.
Yeah. And then the other trailer that I'm curious if you've seen it. It's a movie about a woman, I think she's a high-powered executive or something like that, who makes a wish or does something that she turns into a young kid. It's basically the
reverse big.
And the movie is titled Little.
I'm already hate it. Hate it.
Yep. So I don't know.
Nope.
Yeah, but the final trailer thing I want to bring up is I saw this trailer for like the nth time today, and have you seen the trailer for Breakthrough?
I don't know. What's it about?
It's the super like faith-based movie about the kid in the ice.
Yeah.
Luke Cage. Luke Cage. I like watching the trailer for that. I was like, this is my bar. Like this is the line.
Bullshit. You'll see it.
No. Like I was sitting, like watching the trailer tonight. I was sitting there thinking like I wanted to tweet this out and I didn't have a chance to because movie. But I was just like, you honestly, like I would feel comfortable saying this. You could give me a year of A-list for free and I wouldn't allocate the time to watch this movie. Like you could give me a year as a reward for watching this movie. And
I would.
I don't want to watch. Well, I was in the trailer for I was in the theater for God's Not Dead way back in like 2013. And like, that's like, and I heard this described on another podcast, but it's, those types of movies they're playing to a crowd, which is fine, but they're not movies. They're sermons in movie form.
Well, devil's advocate, and my lack of belief, not that I shove down people's throat, but you're not the audience. I'm not the audience.
Right.
There is an audience for that.
Yeah.
And that audience, they don't have a whole lot that is geared towards them.
Exactly.
So I'm okay with them having a movie that's geared towards them, and they'll love it. They'll rave about it. They'll talk about it, how it's strengthen their spiritual beliefs, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be for us.
Right.
Now, would I sit through it and think it's probably the most ridiculous thing? Probably.
Yeah.
But, I would sit through Paw Patrol and think the same thing.
Sure. But I think I'm at the point where I'm just thinking it's just like, yes, it's not for me, but it's also just, it's not, like I said, it's a sermon instead of like a movie. It's just like, it is just solely created by people who likely don't know the not fundamentals, but like aren't like their main goal isn't to like make films or anything. It's just like, it's to make these geared toward a specific audience. And I'm
sure.
I don't feel like sitting through that even with A-list.
But again, it's not for you.
Right.
And the people that are making these movies aren't naive enough to think that it's going to convert people.
Right.
But they are legitimate. They're making a movie for that crowd.
Yeah.
And those are the only people that are probably going to go see it, except for maybe a straggler here or there that doesn't know what they're walking into.
Right.
And it'll do well with that crowd. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, also that movie just looks terrible.
It does look terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, strictly from a technical point of view, it looks awful. But, the people that go see it will tell you it was the greatest movie of 2019.
Right. Yep. Because they've seen 2 movies in 2019.
Right.
One is Breakthrough and one is A Dog's Purpose. Yeah. Or A Dog's Journey.
And they'll probably be like, well, I don't like possessed dogs in my movies.
Right.
But sorry, I don't want to take shots at religion.
Right. Yeah, so I thought there was one other thing, but screw it. Anyway,
let's talk one more trailer because I do have a thing or two to say about a specific reaction, and that's the Ghostbusters teaser.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
All right, so first of all, you got to understand how ridiculously excited I'm about this movie, okay? Now, there is controversy about this. When they announced the what's the name of the director?
Jason Reitman?
No.
Paul Feig?
Paul Feig.
Yeah.
So with the Paul Feig Ghostbusters movie, I wasn't on board, but I was going to give it a shot because it's Ghostbusters and I'll see what they're going to do with the franchise. I went to go see it. I gave it a shot. I think it was very forgettable. I wouldn't go out as far as to say it was just a god-awful hunk of crap. Right. I just thought it was a bland, unfunny, nice to look at movie.
Right.
So.
That's not like a misogynist, like nice to look at. Like,
no. Yeah. Graphically speaking,
right?
Like the visual effects were really good.
Right.
The movie came out. It got some decent like critical reviews, but fans did not take to it.
Right.
All right, and it did not make money because that was like $100-some million movie,
something like that. Yeah.
And it did not make enough money to sustain that franchise.
Right.
You took your shot. It did not go the way you hoped. Fine.
Right.
So now the director's son from the original movie is going to make a reboot that is going to be in the same universe as the original 2 movies. So Leslie Jones has voiced a opinion about this, and it is to me it is beyond ridiculous.
It is such a knee-jerk response that just feels like it's just needlessly indignant over something there's not enough information about. First,
we don't know who's cast in it.
Yeah,
we don't know what timeline's going to be in. We don't know if it's going to be an all-male Ghostbusters cast. We don't know anything about this movie, but she's already jumped to the conclusion that it's going to be Trump made a Ghostbusters movie. Oh man, it's going to be better. And then she goes on to say, and they think it's going to make more money, and it will. And she's basically doing what the idiot fans did with the reboot a few years ago, jumping to a conclusion, saying it's going to be terrible. How dare you replace them all with females? My thing was not that they replaced them all with females. Right. If you have a good female cast that's going to do the movie justice, awesome. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Because I like some of the girls that were in the movie. I think that Kristen Wiig is great. I think that who's the other blonde?
Kate McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon. I think she's hilarious.
Oh, me too.
She
stole the movie.
Yeah, she was, to me, she was the only thing that was funny about that movie. Not thing in the sense that I think that women are things.
Right.
The only aspect of that movie that I thought was entertaining. So but Leslie Jones is doing the exact same thing. She's coming out and just saying and I get it, she has an affinity for that movie because she was a part of it. She helped create it. I get that.
And there's likely a ton of resentment and just, personal pain in it because she had stakes in that.
She did.
Yeah.
But to come out and immediately just over a trailer with a car and a broken down shack.
Yeah.
And just all of a sudden, first of all, you got to throw politics into it.
Right.
And you got to throw sexism into it. Like, calm down. Just calm the fuck down. Right. Now, am I happy about that this movie's being made? Absolutely. I am more happy that this movie is being made than I was happy that the other Ghostbusters reboot. So sue me. I love the original 2 Ghostbusters, and I love the universe that it set up. Sorry.
So you've heard it here. The official position of Robert Fekkes is that he wants all women to shut up.
Nurse330 at Instagram. That's where you want to send the hate.
But no, I do see where you're coming from. What's interesting to me is that I came out of Ghostbusters 2016 liking it. I enjoyed the movie. I don't have that high an affinity for the original. Like, I like it as a comedy. Like, I don't revere it the way that everyone else does. Or like that, like, people, like, not to say it's a bad movie or anything. It doesn't connect with me that way.
And that's, and I get that. I can look at Ghostbusters 2 and tell you it's not a great movie.
Sure.
But I love that movie. And, me, my brother, and my sister will sit around a dinner table and quote those 2 movies for hours on end because we love those movies. We grew up watching those movies.
Sure. And that's where my thing is. I didn't grow up watching them. Like, I think I watched the first one for the first time in like 2013.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. But having said that, like, I saw the Paul Feig one in 2016. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. Haven't revisited, haven't really had a desire to revisit it either, but, it wasn't a bad movie in my opinion. I do always think about this whenever that comes up in conversation, that when I went to the movie theater, like, I was in the lobby, or I think I went to the restroom and then came out like before the movie started, and then I was about to go into the theater and I saw this man tell his like little, like, she had to be like 6-year-old girl or something, told her to wait out there, which I thought was weird because he was the only adult with her while he goes into the bathroom.
That is weird.
But like as he goes into the bathroom, like she's standing in front of this big like Ghostbusters standee thing, and like she's hugging it, and I'm like, that's like that. I get like that. That's
sure.
Yeah. So
look, I'm not saying that the cast has to be all male.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I was upset that the reboot cast was all female. Let's just wait to see what happens.
Yeah. So you heard it here. Robert Fekkes says that this little 6-year-old girl needs to shut up.
Stay in your lane, little girl. Hashtag not my Ghostbusters. Fem Nazi.
Oh, God. Yeah. So we should go into our review.
We should.
Yeah.
Of A Dog's Purpose.
Yes. Oh, God damn it. So today we're reviewing Glass, which I probably should have made notes and everything, because this is going to be kind of a big one for me, at least. Like, before we go into our review, I just want to get your thoughts on Shyamalan. Wow. Shyamalan. I'm so like, I'm gonna put this out there on the podcast. Like, at no point will anyone on this podcast ever use the joke Shyamalama Ding Dong. Like, every time I see that, it grates on my nerves, because it's not a hard name to pronounce.
It's not. It really isn't.
It's not clever to extend it that way either. It's like borderline. I don't know if I'd say racist, but it's like
I would not say racist.
Yeah, it's offensive to me as a fan of comedy because it's just adamantly not funny. But anyway, it's like anytime there's a Shyamalan movie, it's like, oh, Shyamalan.
Right.
It's like, okay.
People make them say, oh, Shyamalan. No,
Yeah.
it's Shyamalan, all right? It's
Exactly.
not.
So anyway, M. Night Shyamalan, he is a very interesting filmmaker. His career, it's just, it's kind of crazy to me. Like, let's just talk about our relationship with Shyamalan.
Well, I met him first in second grade.
Oh, that's weird.
We became close friends.
No. Nice. I was introduced to his work with, I think, it's actually funny because it was like in 2000. I remember my brother went to see Unbreakable in the theater with like some of his friends. And like at that time I hadn't seen The Sixth Sense, or I think I'd seen just the end of The Sixth Sense when my mom was watching it one night. And like, I specifically remember Ray saying like, "Oh, it was terrible. Like, it just turned out to be just a superhero movie, and who wants that or whatever."
Silly Ray.
Yeah, and it's like, and I like that as an anecdote because that's 2000. Like, that's before
the superhero boom.
Yeah. And then when I discovered Shyamalan, like, I was all about it. Like, I loved The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs. When The Village came out, I was working at a movie theater, the now gone, Eagle Highlands. But, I was working in a movie theater and like, they would run the projector the night before to make sure that there are no issues or anything. So I got to stay after work the night before The Village actually came out, and like I watched it, and like at the time I was writing reviews on IMDb, and like I was so excited because I was like, oh, I got a personal review.
Can get the first one.
Yeah, and having no concept of like media or anything,
Right.
but also in that review, I started it with The Village is M. Night Shyamalan's latest masterpiece, which is 15-year-old Matt. So anyway, I loved him up until The Village, and then Lady in the Water came out, and that was just, I kind of saw the cracks start to form, and then I fell off. The Happening happened, and then I didn't even like The Village when he kind of had his reemergence, but yeah, I kind of fell off, and so I was super stoked when Split was good and blew me away. But what's your relationship with Shyamalan?
So, very similar beginning. I saw, it's funny with Sixth Sense. I saw it once, and I saw it in the drive-in.
Oh, interesting.
And I thought it was great. How old must I have been? Like 14 or 15-ish, maybe?
Sounds about right.
Something like that. I don't know for sure. I have not seen it since.
Oh, wow.
I have not seen The Sixth Sense since. I should watch it. I should watch it again because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those movies that has become kind of like a meme in and of itself.
Yeah, it really
So
has.
it's going to be hard for me to go back and watch it and actually look at it seriously. Unbreakable was mind blowing to me when I saw it in the theaters, and to this day, I love Unbreakable. I revisited it before going to see Glass. Still think it's a great movie. Still get chills at the end scene when Bruce Willis is walking away and Samuel L. Jackson's giving his...
So good.
I fucking love it.
The kids!
They called me Mr. Glass.
Mr. Glass.
Signs, I remember loving it when I first saw it, and I saw it in college. It was one of those... pick movies that they show at college campuses early, and it was great then. Every revisit that I've made of it, I still remember loving it. I need to go back and revisit it because I don't want to like make sure that it's good, but I still remember loving it, so I want to go back and see it again.
Sure.
I will defend The Village still. I'm not going to say it's a masterpiece. I'm not going to say, but I think it's a good movie, and I think it's M. Night Shyamalan's kind of take on a love story, and I appreciated those aspects of it.
And the thing about The Village that I feel like doesn't get a lot of, it doesn't get its due, is that scene about halfway through the movie where, spoilers for The Village, but a violent thing happens between two characters.
Yeah, that's...
Like, the way that's shot, like, it's completely silent. You don't even hear, like, it involves a knife. You don't hear it. And, like, you know, that's also probably to cut around, like, get around the PG-13 and, like, make it not R-rated. But it's just done, like, the tension is perfect. Like, I remember seeing it in that special, like, screening where I was just the only one in the theater watching it. And then, like, over the next few weeks, I went and saw it again in the theater a couple of times. And, like, I remember when I was working, I would, like, have to, I think, like, I had downtime between screenings where I had to, like, clean theaters and stuff. So, like, I would just kind of, like, peek my head in there and then, like, wait until it was that scene just to see that scene again and experience the audience reaction, because the audience went nuts for it every time.
It's like you said, it's brilliantly shot. One of my favorite scenes in that movie is people probably don't find as memorable as I do, but it's the same between Joaquin Phoenix and Bryce Dallas Howard. They're sitting on alone on the porch, and she keeps asking, will you dance with me at my wedding? And he just kind of like, in his character's way, kind of explodes on her. And he's like, you're right. I have all these feelings, but would you please let me come to you when it's time? And those aren't the words he says, but it's the speech he gives her. Is like, I love that scene.
Me too.
Because I think it's
about that scene.
Perfect for his character and for her character. I love that scene.
Yeah. That, and then also the attack on the village when they're kind of huddled under they're in the little trap door.
And he goes into
like the way that the music swells is like it's a violin played in the score, like, and it's like slow motion. He's like, he grabs her hand and runs that's it. It's great.
Like I said, I defend The Village. I think it's a really good movie. I still enjoy it. Not masterpiece,
right?
I don't think the twist is all that big of a twist. I think people probably saw it coming, but to me, I think for me the focus of that movie was the love story, not the twist. But at that point, people came to an M. Night Shyamalan movie expecting the twist,
right?
Lady in the Water, not a masterpiece.
Right.
There are things I find enjoyable about it. I do own it. I haven't revisited in a long time. The time I did revisit after the first time wasn't as good as my first viewing, but there's still some things for me to take away and enjoy of it. Not a ton, but
sure.
It's like you said, it's you start to see the cracks.
Yeah.
And then The Happening is a god awful piece of crap that they remade into Bird Box in 2018. I hate The Happening. I don't understand. I don't. Whatever he was trying to say, whatever the environment is going to kill us first. It was a bad movie. It was poorly written, poorly acted, poorly directed. And like you, I fell off the train. And then he did After Earth, never saw After Earth because it just got ridiculously destroyed by critics. I saw The Last Airbender because my wife, who then was just my girlfriend, loved the cartoon, so I went to go see it. Whatever. It was garbage too. At that point I was just kind of like, I don't know what happened to this man, but it's done.
And that's the kind of interesting thing, because I started to fall off of the Shyamalan train when I noticed how inflated his ego was. Like, it's like,
how about Lady in the Water when he comes and makes writes his character as like the world changing writer?
Yes.
I'm like, come on, man.
That was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I was like, this is really like ridiculous. Like, he's okay. If he wants to be an actor, he can be an actor. If he wants to do his little cameos,
I have no problem with director cameos.
I have no problem. But when you have just no self-awareness and no subtlety to it, like,
right.
Literally, like, it started even when I feel like it started with, I think, EW or something was like heralding him as the next Spielberg or the next Hitchcock when Sixth Sense and Unbreakable came out. And then like, it's like, there's a clear trajectory that like his scene, like his supporting role in Signs, the first scene that you see of him is him walking around his truck, and then one of the kids is like, is that him? And it's like this like little like winky, like,
I don't know.
Him?
I get what you're saying. I enjoy his cameo in Signs. I didn't see
I do
it
too, for the most part. Just like, I feel like that like one like example is like his ego, and then Lady in the Water is like,
yes, I am brilliant,
yes,
aren't I?
Exactly.
I am going to change the world with my writings.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, man.
Yeah.
Maybe he did a cameo on After Earth. I don't know. I can't recall if he did one, The Happening.
Yeah. I think, I'm sure that
he did.
Yeah.
You know what though? After whichever came last, After Earth or, Airbender, I don't know, but so his name was Mud pretty much after those movies. And so he stopped directing for a bit, but he wrote Devil.
I think he produced, I don't know if he actually wrote it, or he may have maybe co-wrote it, but I know
he was on the writing path in Devil.
I know he definitely produced it.
He had a hand in it.
And I think that was like one of the last things that they were like, from the mind of M. Night Shyamalan. Oh yeah, well, he has a story credit.
Okay, so I didn't go see Devil because it said M. Night Shyamalan at that time. I was like, I'm not. But you know what? I saw it on Netflix because I was bored one night, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I liked it. Like, I liked it a lot. I thought it was like really unique as far as the story setting. You know, pretty much the whole thing takes place in an elevator.
Right.
So I appreciate it, and I was like, well, you know what? Okay, fair enough. M. Night had a good little base hit. I'll take it.
Well, that's the thing. Like he didn't direct it or write it or anything. He just produced it, and I think that's where his I don't know if I'd say his strengths lie, but it's like he doesn't get in his way that way.
Yeah.
Granted, I haven't seen Devil. I think I saw like the first 10 minutes or something, and I was just kind of checked out of it. But I do remember there's a scene on the roof of the building, where a guy like loses his hat or something. And he's chasing it, and then like the camera like follows him as he's chasing the hat. Yeah. And like it just zooms over, and you see how far down it is. I'm like, oh my god, that's fucking with me. But so yeah, he was in what's known as director's jail. So his name is Poison, and then I didn't realize this until I read about it, or it's been widely reported now. Like he came out with the Visit, and then Split, and then now Glass.
Which Visit came out and people enjoyed it. I did not.
Same here. But the thing that's interesting about that is that he self-funded it. Like these last 3 movies he's done, he has paid. Like he's funded it. Like he funded the Visit, and then I think he shot it and had it completed and everything, and was shopping it around to production studios, and like no one wanted it because his name was so poisonous. But Jason Blum and Blumhouse Productions, like they were like, okay, sure, well, let's do it. And then like this is giving him this revival that I respect, because it's like he's like, I think he's just had such an interesting career.
It really has. Like it's been a roller coaster for him, and it's, you know, I'm glad that production companies like Blumhouse exist, because it does give like, you know, lower produced.
Well, the thing I keep coming back to, and what I've heard it referred to, is like they're like a director rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Where because their business model is genius.
Right.
Like, they just throw like a set figure of like I think $5 million is the max. They cannot go over budget for that at all. And then they turn it around, release it, make that,
and it's going to make money.
Yeah,
you know, it'll make at least $20 million.
Oh, absolutely.
So I appreciate production companies like that, and I was glad, while I did not like The Visit, I was glad to see people enjoying an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Me too.
So, because you know, I still had love for his earlier works, and I don't want to see the guy go down in flames. Like, I want to see him make great movies.
Yeah, as someone who was a huge fan of the guy, like, I want to see him succeed.
Sure.
Like, it's an interesting kind of thing. But then Split happened.
I'll tell you what.
Holy shit.
Straight up, when I first saw the trailer for Split, I was like, that looks fucking ridiculous.
Same here.
I am not going to see that garbage.
Yep.
I was like, Shyamalan's back to his bullshit. I'm done with you. I gave you a chance, and this is what I get.
Yep. Like, because I was really down on The Visit, because I was so, like, I could not connect to any of the characters. I thought, like, he can't, like, the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, like, none of the comic relief is landing with me. It's just so awkward.
I just thought it was a found footage film coming out 7 years too late.
Yeah,
I just really, I was like, I'm done with found footage, man. Yeah. I think the world is.
Oh, yeah. And, like, the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, like, this guy does not know how to write, like, dialogue. Like, he does not know how humans talk. and then I saw the trailer for Split, and I'm like, okay, James McAvoy's awesome, but, like, the girl in the trailer is like, excuse me, sir, I think you have the wrong car. Like, okay, a stranger just got into the car.
So get the fuck out of my car.
Maybe freak out a little bit. Maybe act. like have like you know, whatever. But like watching the movie, like, I will say this, and we are going to spoil Split and Unbreakable, because we can't talk about Glass with
He was dead the entire time.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Someone had to make the joke.
Right. But Shyamalan, but I, like, you can hate on Split all you want. Like, that's fine. That's your thing. But I don't know if I've had a theater experience that kind of blew my mind the way that Split has had, because I had no idea what the twist was. I didn't.
I had no idea. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah,
my jaw hit the floor when it happened. And the thing that made me sad about it though was, I'm walking out of this movie 15 years after Unbreakable came out with a bunch of people that had no clue what that twist was.
Yeah,
and I was just like, "That's David Dunn."
Yeah. Oh yeah, and like I remember Mike on the podcast was saying like, yeah, I've had students like I have to tell them like they thought that it was just his dad or something. Like, no, but like I remember in the theater, like I saw it with Kirsten, and like I kind of like I was just like, as soon as that music started playing, I was like I vividly remember thinking like, oh wow, that's interesting. I wonder if he got the same guy to do the score for this that he did for Unbreakable, because that sounds like Unbreakable. Then as it swells up, I'm like, oh my God, that's Unbreakable. Oh my God. Like I'm getting chills remembering it right now. And then like Kirsten was like, what's going on? I'm like, we just watched a sequel to Unbreakable. Like,
nobody knew.
And nobody knew. And she had never seen Unbreakable. And she was like, I think she kind of just went along with it. I'm like, okay, you drove. So I don't want to set you off. But yeah. And it was just like, that was like the most, that was a moment where I was like, M. Night Shyamalan still has a little bit of magic left. Like,
and even before that twist, I really enjoyed Split. And James McAvoy does an incredible job in that movie.
Insane.
In my opinion, an Oscar nomination worthy job.
Same
like
here.
It's like he's playing a dozen people, and he does it convincingly, switching from one person to the other. I can't fathom doing that as an actor.
Me neither.
And, you talk about the girl scene. Yeah, I'll give you the week. What are you doing, sir? But I think she actually does a really good job throughout the remainder of that film.
Same here.
And I actually enjoy her as an actor. Like, she was in The Witch.
The Witch, yeah.
And I thought that she is incredible in that movie. There's not anyone that's not incredible in The Witch, but I think she in particular is great.
Yeah.
And I thought she did a great job in Split as well. Yeah. Like, I walked out of Split ecstatic that he made a good movie again, and ecstatic because I was like, am I going to get something more? Am I going to get more Unbreakable? Because I've always wanted more Unbreakable. And even now after seeing Glass, Unbreakable is still my number one Shyamalan movie. And the prospect, well, first of all, I was ecstatic to have seen another movie in the universe. Now I was like, give me more. Give me Unbreakable again.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, a week later, they're like, yep, he's making another. I was like, yes!
And I think at that point, they also announced, like, Glass is going to come out. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be called Glass. It's going to bring that together. Like, I was so amped for it.
Yeah,
I was so excited.
I was giddy.
And yeah, to your point, Unbreakable is also my favorite. Like, now it's my favorite, like, Shyamalan movie. Cause I rewatched it and rewatched Split in preparation for Glass. And like, Unbreakable is just on such another level.
It is. It's subtly tense.
Yep.
And it's amazing how edge of the seat it is for such a subdued movie.
Absolutely. And it's like, it follows, like, Bruce Willis is perfect for that role because, like, he's just this quiet, unassuming kind of guy who's wrestling with, like, coming to terms with not coming to terms with the fact that he is, like, unbreakable. Coming to terms with the fact that he has to come to the decision to recognize that he's unbreakable. Right. Like, it's
coming from a man that has come to accept he's mediocre.
Yeah.
And then this happens, and the prospect of him not being mediocre is thrust upon him.
Right.
And he's got to make the decision, do I embrace this, or what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Or do I even believe this?
Yeah. And also, like, it's an interesting kind of prelude to The Village's relationship story, because, like, the relationship with him and Robin Wright is, like, really good.
It is.
I just really loved the way that it's set up. Like, it is. Oh, she's so cute. So
he's talking about the cat. Everybody.
Cat, yeah, she's just laying on my little exercise bike. So someone's using it. But anyway, Yeah, so it's just a really great, like you said, subdued performance, and like the relationship between him and Robin Wright, it's on the rocks, and you get that from the outset, and you get this kind of relationship drama unfold as they're, like, while he's like coming to terms with his identity, he's also repairing this relationship that I thought it worked beautifully. Like the ending of that movie where he's carrying her up to bed.
Yeah.
And he's like, I had a bad dream. Like that's like,
it's amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So M. Night Shyamalan, cool stuff. I was very eager for Glass. Like sitting in the theater, waiting for it to start. I was sitting there thinking, if he pulls this off, like this could be something really incredible in terms of film, like his filmography, his trajectory of his career. So I was pretty amped for it.
I was excited too. And I posted on my Facebook when I checked in, and I was like, I can't remember the last time I was excited to be in an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Same here.
And I was super excited. Like every single trailer I saw coming in just got me more and more pumped. I was pumped.
Oh, same here. So let's go into our review of Glass now, 3-4 hours into the podcast.
Right. As is typical.
Yeah. So I'm going to read the plot description courtesy of IMDb. Glass, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Security guard David Dunn uses his supernatural abilities to track Kevin Wendell Crumb, a disturbed man who has 24 personalities. That's cool. So, of course, for this review, we're going to do a non-spoiler review and then a spoiler review. Fekkes, in broad terms, what did you think of Glass, and how does it rank with the M. Night Shyamalan-verse?
M. Night Shyamalan-verse. Broad terms, I loved it because it gave me exactly what I was hoping to get out of it.
Interesting.
Now, I'm not going to tell you that it's the perfect movie and he doesn't misstep here and there and step on his own dialogue, because he does, but it brought back the characters that I loved. It had them interact in a bigger story, and it brought new elements into it. And the twist, if you want to call it a twist at the end, sure. I thought it was, I enjoyed it. Like, I'm going to say, I know where people are going to gripe about this movie. I get it. But for me, I loved it. So, and we'll talk, a little bit more broad, aspects of the movie. And I did have some issues with it, but I walked out of it completely happy with what I saw. Nice.
I posted a review on obsessiveviewer.com and also on my Letterboxd. I have I have such complicated feelings for Glass. So much so that I almost saw it tonight again, just so I could have it fresh in my mind for this review. And I probably should have seen it again, but it was, like I said, I was so primed for it. I was so excited. There are elements of it that I was so tickled with. First of all, the fact that they got Spencer Treat Clark back to play his son, and that he's David Dunn's guy in the chair. Right. I was like, I love that. That's awesome.
I liked seeing where David Dunn was and now in his world now. This is what he has taken with the revelation of who he is, and this is what he's doing with his life.
And it's 19 years later, and it's to kind of not disparage it or anything like that, but I want to see more of that. I want to see more of those 19 years and what he was up to
kind of embrace the theme of the movie. I feel like they could have, or they can still do it, fill it in with a comic book series.
That would be cool.
I would be on board with that.
Oh yeah.
We'll see if it happens. I doubt it will, but I'm with you. I would, 19 years is a long time for him to be having the adventures as the overseer.
Yeah.
So
which I love that moniker.
I love it too. And I love how he was like, it was better than the Tiptoe Man. So, and I thought, we haven't seen that. I haven't seen that guy in anything since like Gladiator. So I don't know if he has been working steadily, but it was fun to
Street Clark?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He was in like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in like season 1 or something. Was he in
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
He was, yeah.
Cause that was I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a good few seasons. Hey, whatever. Yeah. He was fun in the movie. Yeah. And I thought he was a good, guy in the chair.
Yeah. I think he was better than he was as a kid in Unbreakable.
Oh yeah. And the kid who's annoying to me at sometimes. I'm like, you little stop.
But I also love that and I'll have to dance around this, but like they used deleted scenes from Unbreakable.
Yes,
they incorporated it.
I immediately recognized those as deleted scenes because I remember watching those deleted scenes from Unbreakable when I was younger. Yeah. So when I saw him come and talk to him in his room, I was like, "Oh my god!" Or when Elijah at the amusement park, I was like, "Oh my god, they're using that." That's
the one that like it had been so like because I was obsessed with M. Night Shyamalan. Like I remember going like online and like buying into some ridiculous like theory that or like there was a rumor that ended up being a hoax that it was like, oh, he's going to come out with a time travel movie called Tempest Fugit, and it's like this is like right after The Village, I think, and I was like, oh my god, that sounds amazing, time travel, that's amazing. And then it was a complete hoax from some dude online posted it, but like they'd made like this rudimentary like poster art for it and stuff. I was so disappointed.
Stupid internet.
But yeah. But yeah.
But I remember seeing that the lead scene originally and thought I really wanted that to be in the movie because I think that's a great.
Which one, the carnival?
The carnival one.
Yeah.
Because I think that gives such a good look into what could have broken this kid.
Yeah. And like the hard life that he lived.
Right.
Absolutely. And like I had a weird experience where I was like watching that and then I couldn't remember if I saw it on the DVD, like saw the actual deleted scene, or if I had read the script or something. Cause like there was a time where I was like reading like full length scripts and like I couldn't remember it. And I was just sitting there thinking like, this is so weird. Cause like 19 years ago, I was very deeply invested in this world, in this filmmaker's work with this particular thing. And I'm like, it's not quite nostalgia, but it was like this weird anchoring I had with
to me, it was more a deja vu feeling.
Yes.
With that. Mm-hmm. But I appreciated the use of it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was brilliantly used.
Yeah. So, and we'll dance around spoilers until we get to spoilers, but the movie has a few distinct acts. Like the first, we have kind of a prologue with David and the Beast, and then we have the majority of the movie taking place in the hospital, and then we have the finale.
Right.
The showdown between David and Kevin, like the whole prologue is exactly what I wanted out of
Yes, the first meeting between the Beast and David is amazing.
So cool.
Like that fight sequence inside the factory was just fantastic, and I loved how it brought the obsession the Beast had for David, and because you see that obsession
so cool.
in the second act, and it just confuses Kevin.
Yeah,
and it was like. No, there can't be some, like, I'm a prophetic entity. There's no way there's a match for me. Yeah. And he becomes an obsession for him.
And I kind of wish there was more of that in the movie. There's plenty of it, but I kind of wish that was a bigger part of the movie. Cause I'm so interested in that aspect of it.
Me too.
Cause and James McAvoy is so incredible.
He kills it again. And I'll say it right now, that's an Oscar-worthy performance. Now, the movie's not going to be mentioned in any type of award ceremony names, but that performance is ridiculously amazing.
Absolutely. And he ups the ante with it. Like,
he does.
It's like rewatching Split and then going into Glass, it's like they know what they have with James McAvoy. And it's like, just
we got to showcase this.
Oh, yeah.
And he's brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And and Bruce Willis, I think that he's granted he's not really given a lot in the movie in terms of compared to like James McAvoy.
Right. Well, in the second act, he's not given a lot, and he's kind of putting by the wayside a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the focus is really on Kevin and on Elijah.
Right.
Which, okay, I get.
Yeah.
You're trying to really introduce these two characters because they're going to be the catalyst for the third act.
Right. And we had the whole prologue was centered on David, so it's a juggling act.
Yeah.
Like they have three, like the movie is three points of view, three main characters, plus I almost wanted to call her Ellie Sadler.
Plus the paleobotanist that they had.
Yeah. Staples. Dr. Staples. So there's a lot to do. I think I read, and we'll talk about some of the, not backlash, but I have some thoughts. But anyway, I read where it's like, this hospital only has 2 orderlies and stuff. I'm like, okay, it's a Blumhouse movie. Yeah. They don't have a high budget. Like, first
of all, I feel like that's kind of explained in the twist.
Yeah,
because I had a lot of those questions too at first, and then I was like, okay, all right. To me, that's legit because it's not based on reality, folks. So you got to have to take a little step away from reality. But no, I agree what that critique was, but I think it was natural to the twist at the end.
Sure.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
I did enjoy her scenes. I thought she was good in her role. I thoroughly enjoyed a lot of the scenes that she had as a psychologist one-on-one with the characters.
Yes.
I thought those were really good scenes.
I'm glad you said that because I had, like, I was texting Mike, like, after the movie, like Mike and I saw the movie at the same time, but in different locations.
Gotcha.
Like he's in Evansville, I'm in Indianapolis. And like, as I'm walking out of the theater, he sends me a text saying like, quick thoughts on Glass. And like, I'm sitting in the parking lot texting like my immediate reaction. And then like, I drive home and like, I kind of like eye my phone. I'm like, I see the blinking light and I'm like, so like giddy. Cause I'm like, once I get home, I'm going to open the text and we're going to have a conversation. And then like, I parked my car and I sat in my car for like 15 minutes just texting Mike back and forth. And it's just like he had some issues with the hospital sequences and the stuff with Staples and her interactions with them, which I kind of get, but I'll get into that in spoilers because the internet has kind of ran with them and kind of I feel like I'm going to end up championing this movie from people who are just so primed to hate on it because it's M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, here's a couple things. First off, I hate to say it, but I don't care how it does financially, and I don't care what people say because I got the movie that I wanted.
Nice.
That's probably not a great way to look at it because after seeing this movie, I do want Shyamalan to continue, and I think it's going to be a financial success. It did win the box office, so I think in that course I'll win as well. But you can say what you want about the movie. I liked it for what it was, and I got exactly what I wanted out of it, so I'm happy with it. Walking out of the theater, too, I kind of had a fun interaction. I went to go see it by myself, which I typically do anymore.
Sure.
And so I'm walking out, and this younger kid, he's probably low 20s, high teens, maybe.
Okay.
And we're kind of like parallel walking out, and he just kind of goes, and you can tell he's kind of like socially awkward.
Sure.
And he's like, So what'd you think? And I was like, man, I really enjoyed it. I really dug it. He goes, man, me too. It was so good. I loved every second of it. Man, it was so much fun. And so I had a fun little conversation with this kid as I was walking out of the theater. So I kind of like stuff like that, but.
That's awesome. I'm trying to look up this whole thing. God, Slash Film did a lot of Glass coverage, but anyway,
real quick, there was one review that I did read a blurb from that pissed me off.
Okay,
because if you didn't like the movie, that's fine,
right? And
talk about why you didn't like the movie. But the blurb the guy had for it was, "I'm not sure Shyamalan's past film history is enough to make up for this. I don't think this movie is enough to make up for. It's like you can't judge the movie on the other movies you thought were bad. If you didn't like this movie, that's fine. Yeah. But don't decide to not like it because you didn't like these other movies.
Right.
So that pissed me off.
That it's funny that I 100% agree with you there. However, I did find myself not really on a much smaller scale. Think about that when I was talking about Annihilation in the Year in Review episode, because I kept saying I kept saying like, oh, it didn't affect me the way that Ex Machina did. But it's a different, like that's like, I saw an article on Slash Film that this guy, like I read half the article. Like I was so annoyed with it that I just stopped, because like the blurb, and I'm trying to find it here, they post so much stuff, was something like, Glass is a total failure and here's why. And it's like, it's not though. Like, it's not, you cannot like it. That's fine.
But you can't call it a failure when it's a financial success.
Yes. Glass is a massive failure after Split and The Visit. Let's break down how this movie fails. It's like, it's not a failure though, because it's financially viable. It's relatively well received, and it's got mixed reviews, but I mean,
to be honest, I walked into this movie thinking people were going to probably bash it, but I think that comes from people bashing it because of his past films. I think there's a bias that people still look at there, and I find that annoying.
Yeah, totally.
There's filmmakers that I think are shit that have made some good movies.
Right.
That I think that I will come out and say, that's a hell of a movie. I don't know what what happened with the rest of his movies, but I really enjoyed that.
And this may be a bigger discussion too, but like, how much of that is, like, is that, what is that? Like,
is that pressure from your editor? Is that what you think the readers want to hear? Yeah. I don't know.
Is it a more personal thing that you've spent so much time, kind of just like, demolishing this person's career, that like anything that could possibly be redeeming in your eyes for that filmmaker, like, is just so far askant? Is that the word? Mm-hmm. So far away from like your preconceived notion that you can't reconcile the fact that he did something good without tarnishing your your.
It's like I've written dozens of articles about this guy being a shit. So,
right. And let's go into spoilers, because I want to bring up a couple of things in this article, in the first half of this article, because I did not read the rest of it. It's like, God, it's so irritating to me, because it's like it reads like someone who is so just. It's pedantic, really. It's just so like, oh, I didn't like this movie, so I'm gonna just gripe about everything, even though it's contradictory to what the actual point of the film is. And like,
Bruce Willis had more gray hair than he should have had.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's not in it. I don't know. It could be in it, but it's like, oh, he had a white beard in Glass, but at the end of Split, he didn't have any facial hair. It's just so dumb. But anyway, any non-spoiler thoughts before we go into spoilers for Glass?
Just that the third act, I think the final action sequence I thought was very well done, but I felt like the dialogue is where they had the biggest missteps there.
Yeah.
The dialogue in the third sequence came off a little too comic book-y.
It did, yeah. I'll agree with you there, and also it kind of crammed in. Like there are a few things that it kind of crammed in that was crammed into it that I just didn't. I feel like it wasn't structured properly. Like we get the big set piece and everything, the kind of action sequence and everything, if you will. But then there's so many other things that are added to it that's like the signature Shyamalan style, which on paper makes sense to me, but I've found it to be kind of problematic. But
fair enough.
But yeah, so we'll go into spoilers for Glass. I'll play a bit from the trailer, and then when we get back, we are going to be spoiling Glass. So. Yeah, if you haven't seen Glass and want to skip the spoilers, check the show notes for our timestamps to skip over to Potpourri. You can find the show notes in your podcast app or at obsessiveviewer.com/OV269. All right, here's the trailer.
I need your abilities to get us all out of here and show the world we exist. That sounds like the bad guys teaming up. Do you believe you are an avenging angel, partner? I believe. Avenge us.
I have to get out of here before he gets out.
They are contained. They always underestimate the mastermind.
It has begun, David. I found someone who will require your full potential.
Okay, so spoilers on for Glass, and if you'll indulge me for just a second, I want to bring up this bit from this article that just really rubbed me the wrong way. It's about the hospital sequence.
Okay.
And about Staples trying to convince them that they're not, superhuman. Let's see. Where
Okay, because I'm gonna have something to say about that that portion.
Okay, me too. So,
which is good since we should have things to say about the movie that we were reviewing.
Okay, so here we go. Up to this point, I was kind of on board with Glass. This is quoting from the article. It's important to note here that this is much more of a sequel to Split. When I saw McAvoy build above both Willis and Jackson, I was surprised, but it makes sense. He's the main character again, and the only one who truly begins to doubt his own superpowers. But here's the rub, and it's something Chris Evangelista hit upon in his review at /film, quote within a quote, quoteception. I know these characters have superpowers. I've seen Unbreakable. I've seen Split. There is no debate here. David Dunn and Kevin Wendell Crumb, within the context of this universe, have superpowers. Unbreakable specifically is about David Dunn accepting his identity. Split is about a character whose personalities are just waiting for him to embrace his own. The opening of Glass suggests that both men accept who they really are. So why do we need to watch another movie with these characters doing the exact same thing? And, I feel like that is a categorically misread of the entire movie.
Right. I agree.
I was so, and there's a theory that's been bouncing around my head that I'll talk about later. But I feel like that is the entire point of the movie. Like these people, these men they've gone through hell to discover their identity and discover who they are and accept this power. And then the idea that someone could come in and make them doubt that's a very compelling thing. Like, what if you really were just brutally beating the shit out of people?
What if you are psychologically damaged?
Exactly.
And you have embraced some grandeur that is just not real.
Exactly.
They touch on it. David Dunn, Elijah, you've been beating up petty crooks.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all you've been doing. You've been fighting thieves and just, right. Yeah. He beats up a couple of teenagers at the beginning of the film, and you could see where some delusional person would find himself to be a superhero.
And those scenes are so deliberately shot to showcase him as this terrifying thing. Because he is completely in shadows. He turns out the lights. He's that scene where he gets into the house with the YouTubers when they're looking at the footage and everything. I was like, holy shit, this dude, the overseer. It's he's terrifying. It reminded me a bit of Batman. He uses fear.
Right.
Yeah. So that just I have just kind of a problem with people saying oh, well, it doesn't make sense for them to doubt it. It's that's the entire point of the movie.
And I'll be honest, I really enjoyed the analysis sequences to the point where I'm sitting there thinking, she's making a lot of sense here.
Same here. Like the whole like red brick thing.
Right. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, it almost had me down. I was like, oh man, was this like a double blind?
Mm-hmm. So, like, I would have been okay with the movie like revealing like, oh no, superheroes aren't real.
Right.
What are you talking about?
That would have been a very compelling twist as well.
Yeah.
So I agree with you that he is way off base there. I don't understand it. It sounds like I'm going to find something to hate about this part here. Exactly. And this is what I'm going to latch on to.
Yeah. And there was other stuff in it, but it's so aggravating. Yeah, I'm not going to screw it.
And I like that she, like, there with Kevin, since, you have like 12 or 14 distinct personalities that they showcase in the movie. There's a couple of personalities that start to buy into what she's saying, and the others like, we're the beast. The beast is the beast. Mm-hmm. And I like that aspect of it too. Like, there's some personalities that are buying into the Doctor. There's some that are adamant that she is incorrect and the beast is true to form.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very compelling sequence.
Yeah. And
I love that Elijah, the entire, like, fuck you. No.
Right. First
I-
name Mr., last name Glass. It's like I was replaying that in my head. It's like, that's so badass cheesy.
Right.
Like,
I dig it.
Yeah. Here's the other thing that, like, this is what, in my opinion, in this article on Slash Film, feels like, I don't want to say it invalidates the whole thing, but the tone of it is just like, clearly like, okay, they are just looking for shit to just throw at this movie.
Right.
Let's see. Quote, they agree to work together, or as Elijah puts it, that sounds like the bad guys teaming up, to prove that superpowers are real. That requires a fight between David and Kevin in a public place, specifically the soon-to-open skyscraper, Osaka Tower. Parentheses, when we first learn of the Osaka Tower, it's via a magazine cover that dubs it a true marvel. Get it? Because you see, Marvel is a famous comic book company. As insightful a reference as, that sounds like the bad guys teaming up. Like, what? Like, that's not constructive.
Yeah. That is just nitpick for the sake of nitpick.
Absolutely. So yeah, we'll not read any more quotes from that. But, I did have, not randomly, but like, as I was kind of putting together my thoughts about the end of the movie, and I'll have to bounce around because I have other points to bring up, but, the whole, like, oh, we're gonna go to this tower and we're gonna set off this chemical thing. Like, it's a very comic book scale thing.
Right.
And then I realized it's a Blumhouse, like, they can't do that. Like, so they stay in the grounds of the hospital.
So here was my thought on that whole thing.
I wonder if it's going to be the same thing.
I don't know. They keep building this up, and my biggest thought is a Simpsons episode.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought.
When are they going to get to the fireworks factory? Oh,
yes.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that made that connection.
I thought about that, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, that's really how it felt.
Right.
But yeah, and cause like, I was thinking like when Kevin is about to like there's that opening field, it's like, oh shit, now he's gonna go.
Right.
It's like, it doesn't.
They can't get to the factory. No, I'm so happy that someone else thought about this random Simpsons reference.
Oh,
that's good.
Great. But yeah, so let's save the finale for later, cause I want to talk about his cameo. And it, like, this is where I go off the deep end with theories and everything. Cause like, one of the things that I loved about the, hospital sequence, like as it's happening, when they're in that room that was in the promotional, like the first promotional still, it's like lighting wise, it's beautiful. Yeah. Like when they're doing that, and like when she's like leading them to believe that, like, doubting themselves, I started thinking of this theory in my head that, like, I was thinking, like, oh my god, is the Unbreakable trilogy, which apparently it's called the East Rail 177 trilogy, per M. Night Shyamalan, but
okay.
Yeah. But like, I'm like, is this whole trilogy, like, is this M. Night Shyamalan working through his ego versus his career? Like, cause you think about it, Unbreakable, Split, like the lead up to Glass is like these people are superhuman. They are unbreakable. They are Split. They are
Glass.
They're Glass. But they are these people who went through hell to realize that they have this incredible ability within them, that is just itching to be just brought out. And so we have the conceit of like, these are superhuman people that are like vastly more than average. Then you get the scene in the hospital where we have the doctor putting like doubt in them. So like I was sitting there thinking like, what if this is like a metaphor for M. Night Shyamalan? Like he started out like he like was lauded praise upon him. Like he had this, like he was this gifted director. And then as he created more movies, doubt seeped in, and like now he has to reconcile, like, is he the prodigy that media?
I'm seeing the sequence that you're connecting. Might be a little meta.
Yeah, I think so too. Also, he's not a subtle guy.
He really isn't.
And like if it turned out that he was drowned in a puddle, like I would be like, oh my god, he's a genius. But
it may be subtly something like that. Maybe more cathartic for him to work through it than anything else.
Or maybe even kind of subconscious even.
It could, maybe.
But the other side of that is his cameo. I feel like that's a little bit of his ego shining back in.
Okay, so let's talk about his cameo here. I thought I would have been okay with just, if it were just M. Night Shyamalan coming in to buy security cameras,
right,
or even just the connection between Split and that.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's
Sure.
okay, I get it. But hey, I remember you. I used to be in some bad things. I was just, that was silly. I did not need that.
Did you view it as a meta commentary on his career too? Because he's like, oh, back in the day, I was
no,
with a bad crowd,
I think it was him
now
trying
I've
to
turn my life around.
I think he's trying to articulate that David Dunn really was right when he touched him in the stadium. I think that was M. Night Shyamalan doing sometimes what he does to his own detriment.
Okay.
Just trying to connect too much.
Writing.
I would have been fine with that cameo had it been, it's like, oh, someone was murdered in my building. It's like, okay, he's the same cameo he's making from Split. Cool.
Right.
But then to be like, hey, you worked at Stadium.
Yeah. Like, okay, if you want to connect it to that and show that, like, oh, David Dunn has done well for like citizens and stuff, don't be that like on the surface.
Right.
Like have a scene where he walks out of it and runs into someone. It's like, oh hey, you Holden or whatever, and then be like, no, I don't do that anymore. I turned my life around.
Yeah.
Like don't like be this cheesy, just goofy.
Like he just tossed a sledgehammer at that. And
Yeah.
It was just It was too much for me there.
But I did find myself reconciling that or coming to terms with that by saying that, like, I was sitting there thinking, like, oh, really? This guy is just going to notice the security guard from 19 years ago who happened to touch him and, like, made him freak out about that?
Patted him down.
But then, on the other hand, like, I was like, okay, I could nitpick that. Or I can just accept that, okay, maybe M. Night Shyamalan's character, that's where he hung around. That's where he did his drug deals and stuff. He worked at...
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
David Dunn worked at the stadium.
This drug dealer apparently decides to only deal drugs at college football games, so that's a 18-week career every year he's got, 1 day a week.
Sure.
Maybe if they get a bowl game in, he'll get an extra day. No,
That's fair.
I know I have to explain sports to you with that,
yes.
but
like a cereal bowl?
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was that, and where should we bounce to next?
I think you go straight to the third act.
Okay. This is where I was there are two like big reveals in it, and I'll talk about this one quick because this is a brief one, but the whole connection of Kevin and his dad being on the train and how...
Yeah, I'm still on the fence of whether or not that works for me.
Yeah.
I don't... My first reaction is I don't hate it, but I'm trying to see if... Still trying to decide if it was necessary.
Same here. It's like... Okay. The comparison I'm going to make is it feels like M. Night Shyamalan watched Scream 3 and saw the clip in that movie of Randy having a video that he gave his sister. The most forced, awkward kind of scene that doesn't fit in the movie at all, but it's basically a video of Randy from beyond the grave telling the rules of a trilogy, because he's okay.
Yeah. I've only seen like those movies once-ish, so
okay.
But I know the reference.
So he's telling the rules of a trilogy in case there's another killer down the road, which there is, since there's a third movie
and a fourth.
And in that, the fourth one's actually really good. But in that he's like, okay, so the villain, the killer's always superhuman, and then there's always something that connects back to the first one. There's always something like Jedi, Godfather, they all do this. Like, I don't know if he said Godfather, but anyway, he's like something that connects it, some deep secret hidden in your past that is going to be revealed. And like, it felt like I've
got to do that.
Yeah, it was like he was jotting notes while watching that scene. But it just felt like it.
I get it. You have to have a reason for the beast to turn on Elijah, and maybe that's a decent way to do it. I did like the sequence showing Kevin's dad on the train as it sequenced over to David.
That was cool.
I did really appreciate that. So I'm probably 55-60% on board with that revelation.
Yeah, I think
it's not the best, but I'll allow it.
The more I think about it, is not so much that I had a problem with it as a concept, because I like it as a concept.
But the reveal?
And I wouldn't even say necessarily the reveal. The build up to the reveal. Like, we have scenes where Joseph, David's son, learns it and he's like, oh no, and then we don't see what it is. And then Elijah learns it and he's like, oh my God, and we still don't know what it is.
Right.
And then it's built up to where, like, oh, the big reveal is like, oh, his dad was on the train, and it's like Elijah also like happened to create him in a weird way.
No, I do like that concept though.
I do too as a concept, but I just feel like in execution it was like, I didn't feel that, and maybe this is the point, I didn't feel that whole like, oh my God, Shyamalan just threw the wool over our heads and like just blew my mind, because I was like, well, okay, sure. I mean, fine.
I think part of the weakness for that was part of my problem with the third act, and that was with dialogue.
That too.
I feel like it got kind of hokey and a little too comic booky.
Elijah's whole like, oh no, you don't have to tell him about it.
Right.
Yeah. Like, that felt kind of out of place.
It did. It wasn't enough to ruin the third act for me, but it was enough for me to be like,
Yeah, and the more I think about it, like talking it out, I kind of feel like maybe my reaction to it is what was intended, because like, okay, it's not that big of a shock or anything, but I feel like maybe the point was to just do that and then lull you into thinking like, oh, that was the twist.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
Yeah, but the actual twist.
Now I'm going to defend the twist.
Okay, this is the most divisive part of the movie, I think, in terms of everyone. I'm still wrestling with. I'm still trying to get my head out of the puddle on this one. On what? Okay, so if you're,
first of all, I can't. I'm impressed that they killed David.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah,
I think David most of all.
I am too, and I think that's what I'm wrestling with, because it felt like all three of their deaths were so unceremonious. And maybe that's the point.
I think that's the point, though.
Yeah.
I really think that's the point.
And that's what I'm struggling with.
So, for the big reveal is that the entire time Dr. Staples has been part of a covert organization that's been trying to keep the revelation of super beings out of the public eye.
Right.
So as to make sure people conform, don't go above their station, don't don't rock the boat.
Yeah.
Which
don't go making Ghostbusters movies.
I appreciate that concept, and I think that is a really well-based in reality concept, because in the real world, if this were to be reality, if super beings were to walk amongst us, I honestly think that there would be a movement to try to keep them down, keep them so they don't affect the status quo.
Right.
And I really do. And I like that they played that out in a manner of which are they saying, hey, we've been doing this a long time. We're trying something new. Yeah. We're trying to do it in a non-violent way, because in a whole, I don't see the organization as inherently evil. I see it as doing something that they think they need to do to keep the world going. And in the same token, they're trying to do it in a way where it doesn't destroy people's lives.
Yeah.
And so let's give this doctor a chance to do it in a manner that's actually going to be civil. And that was what this whole experiment was. They gave Dr. Staple the opportunity to be able to try to convince these super entities that they are not super entities.
But we already know that they're super entities. Why do we need that?
And at the same time, they develop a manner of, I guess the machine was a way of diminishing their abilities.
I think the machine was just going to lobotomize him.
I feel like that was probably going to be it too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, like, on paper, I really like that concept. And I like the idea of us going through 2.75 movies with these characters in this world that's this heightened reality where we like are seeing like grounded, superpowered people. And then just to have that washed away because of what it like you watch Unbreakable, you think like, oh my god, this guy is a superhero. Like, he's an actual like, his fucking costume is a rain poncho from his job. This is so cool.
Poncho protects him from the water, which is
yes.
But
then
she hits on it though in their sessions. Why would it only be localized to Philadelphia, guys? And that's the thing that in my mind makes perfect sense. It wouldn't be localized to one city. There's 7 billion people on this planet. If there's one superpowered person, there's bound to be more.
Yeah. On this flat Earth, there's 7 billion people.
So I like that connection there. That, hey, look, dummies, do you see any super people anywhere else? You think that they just happen to come to Philadelphia?
That's yeah.
So,
I feel like rewatching it, I'll be into that.
So the reveal works for me. The part of the reveal that doesn't work for me, which it's me nitpicky because I think it's a trope that is used too often, and I think the trope is ridiculous. If I'm part of a secret organization that I'm trying to keep away from the public eye, I'm not going to brand myself with the logo of said secret organization. That drives me nuts. Yeah. Not only are you going to I'm not going to brand it on my hand. Hey, what's that? Oh, nothing. Don't worry. Just gotta kill this guy.
Right.
So, and I get it. That's a common trope. So I'm not gonna hate on them too much, but it annoys me. Maybe from I don't know. Maybe it's part of my law enforcement background. Where I'm like, no, if you're going to be that smart and covert about it, you're not going to brand it on you.
Right.
So that was my only gripe with the secret organization. But to me as a whole, I think the twist works well. And I love how it plays out with the three people in our heroes and villains' lives facilitating the reveal to the world.
Okay, yes. I think that I like that the supporting characters in the three movies for the three characters are just like teaming up. Like I like that idea. But also I heard this talked about on another podcast, but it also kind of it makes Elijah kind of the hero in the sense that he's like he's sacrificing.
I'm gonna defend it. Yeah. I'm going to defend it because, and let's be real, this is kind of a comic book movie.
Sure.
Comic book villains go back and forth between hero and villain constantly.
That's fair. That is totally fair.
That's a very Magneto turn for Elijah.
Yeah. But yeah, part of me is just like, he murdered a bunch of people.
So did Magneto.
Yeah.
I'm saying these comic villains are over the top to begin with. Like they, in all reality, Joker's a genocidal maniac,
Right.
not a homicide. He's a genocidal maniac.
He's also pretty damaged. Too.
Yeah. God damn it. So it's not out of the ordinary for a villain that has committed mass murder to turn to a hero status.
Sure.
So I think that's very fitting with the concept that the movie is in, with the comic book realm.
That's fair. And also, I do like that, David kind of has his hero moment where he's like grabs the beast off of Elijah and he's like he does his, I don't remember what he says, but he's like, pick on someone your own size or something like that. Was that one of the things that you were like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I dug it. I don't know.
I did like though Elijah's comment about, the hero, the hero saving the villain or something like that, but I did enjoy that.
It's funny because I could have done without that line.
Oh, fair.
Yeah, like I kind of just like it because it's like, it's the overseer being the overseer. Like he's
I mean, that's a very comic book thing to say.
Exactly.
So, but the fight sequence again I thought was great.
Oh, yeah.
Like the big bash between the overseer and the beast was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I thought they did a great job just really making it feel impactful.
right.
Like it was, and first of all, I don't know how they did it, but the gallop that the beast does.
Oh my God,
that's ridiculous. I mean, I feel like that has to have been CGI. Maybe it wasn't, but it looked incredible.
It really did. Like in the trailers, like I saw that and I was like, holy fuck, this looks like. I don't know if James McAvoy did that. I don't know.
There's no way James McAvoy. He's a lot of things, but he's probably not also a world-class parkour artist.
Right. Or if it was a stunt double, or like you said, if it was CGI. Yeah. But like, man, that was just so cool. Like that, like purest terms, like that was just cool.
And they do a great job. Like James McAvoy's not a big guy by any means,
right?
But they do a great job of making him look so powerful.
Absolutely.
And transitioning from a character like his 9-year-old character to the beast, and that's the same person. Now there's some CGI at work with some of his muscle tone and texture, but he's still imposing in one scene and childlike in another. And it's incredible.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
That and something else about him. I like the, like, I was so glad that I could just suspend my disbelief with this because the whole light thing just felt really weird, but the way that it was demonstrated where it's like each flash of the light brings forth another personality, like it just visually looked amazing.
I really enjoyed those sequences as well.
And I like how each one has their own kind of like thing that they have to overcome. Like Elijah is sedated. Kevin has the lights that's keeping him from being like split. And then David has the water thing that's like, even like I kind of wish that the movie would have went the route of being like they're not actually like superhuman, because like I love the psychiatric kind of thing of like, okay, well he thinks that his weakness is water, so let's just threaten him with water and that'll keep him in place. But yeah,
I think that would have been hard. Again, I'm like you. I would have. That's a cool concept to explore. I think that would have been hard to make it a climactic ending.
Yeah, me too.
So, I did like Samuel L. Jackson. I thought was amazing too as Elijah. I thought like his reveal as to him, how first of all seeing David brought him out of his comatose state. Yeah, I like that. Now there's a comic book that kind of mirrors that. Okay. And it's the Dark Knight Returns.
Okay.
So in the Dark Knight Returns, Batman's been retired for several years. Joker is almost in a catatonic state in a mental institution, and something brings Batman back. Like he feels the need to come back. And when he does, it's shown on TV. He's like, Batman's back. And Joker in his catatonic state kind of sees it, and he's back. Like, and it's one of those things that the Joker can't be without Batman. If there's no Batman, Joker's like, there's no reason for me to be. And I feel like that was mirrored very well with Elijah and David. It's like, he's back. This is starting up again. I'm gonna make some plans.
Right.
So I really enjoyed that reveal.
Yeah, and I loved the kind of diabolic way that he executed those plans.
Oh, I know. It was
cool.
perfect.
Yeah.
It was great.
So shocking when he slit the guy's throat. Like,
I know.
That was awesome.
Smooth.
Oh yeah. And he said something like, I need to pick the right shard or something like that. Just so cold, and man, that was awesome.
Yeah. You know what sequence I liked too a lot was when Elijah was getting wheeled out of down the hallway by the Beast, and then the three orderlies come, and the fight is taking place in the background.
Yeah.
It's just, again, the power. Whoosh.
So cool.
Yeah,
when he's like, the Beast says that you need to just roll forward and I'll take care of him or whatever. Like, I was like, man, that's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, man, I'm gonna need to watch this again.
I'll probably catch this one in the theater again too.
Yeah. Thankfully A-list, but but the thing that I like, when you said that you don't know how they could have done it if they were to reveal that it wasn't going to be no one had any superpowers. Like, I was just thinking, like, well, I mean, you know, they could have just had the brittle bone guy just get knocked down and die. They could have just shot Kevin and then could have just drowned David. Right. Oh, whoops. But I think that's the thing that I'm going to have to wrestle with even more. Like, the fact that they all die and they're all just so quick to be dispatched and everything.
I like that part of it. And I see where people would not, but I think it's very fitting to how the story ends. Yeah. In my opinion.
That's fair.
Because it's not at the very end of the movie, it's not about them, it's about the community of overly powered people recognizing that they do exist in the world.
And again, another kind of loose theory is, like, I kind of wonder, like, because I was trying to reconcile, like, what is he saying? Like, what is the point of killing them so quickly and everything? And then I was thinking, like, is this some kind of weird commentary he's making and Shyamalan's making on, you know, the current, like, the last 11 years of comic book movies, and how, like, that's what comic book movies, like, go back to 2000 when Unbreakable came out. Like, comic book movies were laughing stock. They were not.
They were at the forefront because 2000 was when X-Men came out, and X-Men was kind of like the catalyst, like, where it's like, hey, we might be able to do something with these comic book stories now. Right.
But in the intervening years, like, it's been just inundated with comic book movies. And I was trying to figure out, like, is there a statement that Shyamalan's making with this that, like, okay, well, you know, you had your comic book characters, but hey, you know, let's fucking kill, like, I'm gonna kill him, because is it like I don't know.
It might be you trying to find meaning and put meaning in
very likely.
It's funny reading up on it after seeing it. When I first saw Split and they put the twist at the end of it, I thought, first of all, we'll go back. I loved it, but I was like, well, it's fun that they're just kind of connected, having a loose connecting, and now they're going to tie it together. Turns out that this was kind of the plan. Mm-hmm. Like, in the sequence where David Dunn is going around the stadium, he apparently makes contact with a woman where it's shown. And
I heard about that.
And apparently he's. Unbreakable is supposed to be an entirely different movie where it did bring Kevin as,
he was
as
originally
a villain.
Written for Unbreakable.
So that was actually thought of, and apparently that is supposed to be the mother with Kevin in the stadium.
Interesting. I didn't know if it was, like, confirmed or not.
Yeah, so I can appreciate it all the more knowing that was kind of like the plan all along.
Yeah. That kind of blows my mind. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, isn't it?
And going back and rewatching Split, this was the first time I rewatched Split since the theater. And it's one of those things that, like, it makes me excited to see Glass again, because when you see a movie that is so that the last 10, 15, 20 minutes of the movie completely shatters, no pun intended, everything that comes before it. Like going back and watching it to see not necessarily the clues, just to recontextualize the actual film with that ending.
Right.
Is almost a completely unique experience too. Because like rewatching Split, like there's so much stuff with the doctor, saying like he's tapped into like, unused potential. Like this could be the next stage of human evolution and stuff. And I'm like, this shit it's unbreakable. Like,
yeah.
And like, there's a scene in Split where the flashback for, Anya Taylor-Joy's character, where as a kid, she is confronting her uncle who has been, molesting her, with a shotgun in the woods. And it's like, it mirrors perfectly the scene in Unbreakable where, Joseph has the gun and he's pointing it at David. And it's like, it mirrors it. It's like a long take. It's almost the same dialogue in some cases. Like, I think the uncle says like, if you you're going to make me very mad if you don't do that or whatever. And like, it's similar to what David says. And
that was inspired by a real event.
Really?
A child came up to George Reeves once, and George Reeves was one of the people that played Superman back in like the serial days, with a gun. And George Reeves had to talk the kid out of shooting him because the kid wanted to walk up and watch a bullet bounce off his chest. And I guess the way he approached it was, if you shoot me, the bullet's going to ricochet off me. It's going to hurt somebody else. And it's how he got the kid to put the gun down.
I had no idea. That's crazy. Huh.
Stupid kids.
I know, right? Ugh,
fucking idiots.
When you said George Reeves, I like my brain was like Walter Reed.
I think it's George Reeves.
I think you're right. I just thought of Walter Reed Medical Center. I was like, wait, what?
I will say this, go back to your point of going back and watching it. I was trying before the reveal, and I think it was during like the second act hospital sequences. I was trying to sit here and remember if David had touched Dr. Staples at all, because I really felt that at some point there was going to be some kind of reveal with his power there.
And that I almost completely forgot about this aspect to it, because I went into the movie expecting like Dr. Staples to have some kind of nefarious thing.
Right.
Specifically because the fucking marketing of the movie has the line, and it's not in the movie, I don't think, where David's like, so you're not just gonna shake my hand and let me walk out of here, are you?
Oh, and I'm
like watching that, seeing that in the trailer, I'm like, oh, I bet that it's gonna come into play.
Right.
And
stupid me, I didn't even think about that.
And then also in the trailer, there's a shot of David submerged in water and Dr. Staples like reaching out, and I'm like marketing, you just gave it away. Like, you gave away.
The dog comes home, we get it.
I know, right? But yeah, but it's still, it didn't that's not why I didn't. Well, I don't know if I even say didn't like, but like, that's not why I had such conflicting thoughts on the reveal at the end. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
Fair enough. Talking the movie through, I think it makes me like it even more.
Nice. Me too, honestly. And I really want to watch it again. So I might. I actually might.
Should I see it tomorrow or should I see Escape Room? I feel like I should see something new.
You should see Escape Room so you can listen to the episode. All
right, that's fair.
I will say that episode has much better audio quality than the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse review.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. And in the future, Mike's appearances on the podcast will have better audio. Yeah. So, final thoughts on Glass? Anything we didn't touch on, or?
I liked the relationship between the Beast and
what is her? Oh my god!
I can't remember her name in the movie.
Casey.
Yeah, Casey. That sounds right. I really enjoyed that connection with the character.
I did too. I liked it. But also, I would have liked it more if they didn't say earlier in the movie that it's been 3 weeks since Split. Because I'm like, I wish it would have been longer. Because I feel like the stuff that happens to her in Split is a lot to.
It is, yeah. I see what you're saying there.
Also, we already know that they have superpowers. So,
moot point, dumb movie.
God. But yeah, I liked how that came about. Yeah. Yep. So David Dunn's dead from fucking being drowned. That's the one thing that kind of bugs me a little bit.
It doesn't bug me. I enjoy it. I think it definitely ends the whole story within this universe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm cool with that, 'cause to me it was I got the movie I didn't know I wanted 3 years ago, and it's a good ending for these 3 movies that I am now growing to adore.
Yeah.
So.
Like, it would be so interesting to go back in time to 2000, 2001, when, like, I personally loved Unbreakable, and, like, I was all about it. Like, I would love to go back and talk to myself then and be like, hey, how would you, like, you know, because even at the time, Shyamalan was saying, like, oh, he has an idea for a trilogy.
Right, yeah.
And I would love to go back and be like, what do you think a trilogy is going to look like for Unbreakable?
Right, it would not look like this at all.
Nothing like this.
Be so off. Yeah, it'd be so off base.
Yeah, just really interesting.
It would just be a typical what we now expect out of superhero movies.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's all the more I can appreciate for what he did, because if it had gotten to the big climax at the new building, it would have just been a typical superhero movie, and that's just not what it needed to be. So
it would have been a Marvel. Get it, Marvel?
Marvel, it's a Marvel.
Yeah.
Can't believe it didn't take place in DC.
Jesus. Oh God. So anyway, we're running long.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, that's our review of Glass. And I'm excited to see it again, and will you own it?
Oh, without a doubt.
Nice.
Yeah, without a doubt, I'll buy it the day it comes out.
Yeah. Will you get it from Walmart disc plus digital?
I won't. It turns out I don't like my DVDs chewed on before I buy them.
I'm not going to go into context. Yeah. Really quick potpourri. Do you have time? No? Okay. Yeah, because we
watch season 3 of Daredevil. Fuck you, Disney, for canceling. End of review.
Nice. I saw on the basis of sex. I just wanted to say that again. Check my review on Letterboxd. I didn't like it that much, but I think it's more just me being grumpy. So anyway, that does it for this episode.
All right. Make Shyamalan great again.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. I think next time on the podcast, me and Tiny are going to do a double review bonus episode of Fire and Fire Fraud, the 2 documentaries on Netflix and Hulu about the Fire Festival debacle of 2017.
This is an incredible story.
It's
jaw-dropping.
Yeah, it's jaw-dropping.
God damn it.
All right, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. And now, here's a short clip from our Patreon exclusive RSS feed. To hear the full clip and more exclusive Patreon content, go to patreon.com/obsessiveviewer and become a patron at the minimum rate of $1 per month. Thank you and enjoy. I feel like he and I are kindred spirits.
Probably. You should tweet him that like 20 times a day.
I should and I do.
Yeah, okay.
For
a while there, I watched the episode of South Park where they make fun of Russell Crowe by giving him a TV show where it's Russell Crowe making music, making movies, making songs, fighting around the world. So, like, in my infinite wisdom, for like a month straight, I just tweeted the lyrics to that at Russell Crowe, and like he probably doesn't even look at it. He's probably got a publicist, but I never got blocked or anything. So,
oh God. That is a little cringy.
I thought it was funny. I still to this day I think it's funny.
Sure.
The Obsessive Viewer podcast is edited and produced by Matt Hurt and presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. For a full archive of our episodes, go to ObsessiveViewer.com/OV archive. You can also like our Facebook page and join the OV Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And follow us on Twitter at ObsessiveViewer and at ObsessiveTiny. And follow our recurring co-hosts at I Am Mike White, that's me, at R.A. Fekkes, and at Burger_Lurker. If you enjoy the show, please take a couple minutes to leave us a rating and a quick review on Apple Podcasts. This is the easiest way to support what we do, and all it costs is a little bit of your time. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate, or support us on Patreon for recurring donations and access to commentary tracks and B-roll audio recorded exclusively for patrons at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. Or you can simply search for Obsessive Viewer at teepublic.com, T-E-E, public.com. For information about our annual live event showcasing short horror films from local filmmakers, check out shocktoberInIrvington.com. And for an archive of all our events, as well as news about potential future events, head over to obsessiveviewer.com/live. For more podcast content, you can find Anthology, Matt's solo podcast covering The Twilight Zone and other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows at anthologypod.com and on Twitter at OVAnthologyPod. You can also find Tower Junkies, a podcast where Matt and Tiny share their love of all things Stephen King and his magnum opus, The Dark Tower series, at towerjunkiespod.com and at towerjunkiespod on Twitter. And finally, check out The Secular Perspective, Tiny's side project podcast, which tackles current events and life's big questions from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda at thesecularperspective.com. The theme music for The Obsessive Viewer comes courtesy of the band Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. Additional bumper music is provided courtesy of As Good As It Gets, which can be found at facebook.com/asgoodasitgetsband. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty!
Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Josh.
And this is You're Gonna Love This
Or Not.
You know, one of my great pleasures in life is to bring people down into my basement and subject them to a terrible, terrible movie that I hope they might like.
One of my great joys in life is to come to the Subterranean Fun Pit, watch a movie that Matt is convinced I'm going to love, and then tell him about how much I hate it.
So we've got a long list of movies to go through, and every month we're going to come on and have Josh watch a movie, talk about it a little bit, and see where it falls in the great pantheon of terrible movies.
And I'm pretty sure by the end of this, I'm going to develop some form of Stockholm Syndrome. Well, anyways, this is our podcast. Have fun listening to us. And as always, Matt, you're a son of a bitch.
I love you, Josh.